everybody. As you know, the purpose of this meeting is to review and provide feedback on the ESA implementation. And so, Clifton, welcome.
Thank you.
First things first is litigation updates. There hasn't really been any litigation updates at this time. We're still awaiting a court date. So that is the only updates I have on that part, but we're moving full force forward with the application. And so far we've received 15 reimbursement requests, and they're all ready and approved for payment. So that's exciting news. And we had our district webinar on August 22nd. So districts are aware that we are expecting those payments back to OPI by the 10th of the month. 10th of each month. So so far I've received a lot of those reimbursements back. So just waiting on a couple, but the deadline is tomorrow. So I'm very hopeful that we'll have those by tomorrow. So I'm going to move on to Katie Bloodgood because I know she had some legislative updates for us. So Katie, if you want to go ahead and take over.
Sure. Well, I don't have a ton because we're not in the legislative session just quite yet, but currently the legislators and like the legislative body is working on drafting and preparing legislation for next session. So any holdover senators and any House members that do not have a general challenge can actually start drafting bills with legislative services now. And the reason why I bring that up is because I know that there have been some discussions about how this bill could possibly be improved going forward. So basically, I'm here just to say this is the time where we can start working and talking to legislators. So I guess, Clifton, you can, if there's things that you want to change, make sure you tell your legislator about that. And then we'll be watching and monitoring and working with all the legislators with all education kind of policy and legislation going forward. And we'll be working with anyone who is looking to make any changes or adjustments to this bill. But the biggest thing I want to say is right now is when they're just starting to formulate things to prepare for next session. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now. So nothing specifically related to this, but that's kind of where we stand at the moment.
Perfect. Thank you, Katie. So I want to move on to application updates. So as you know, we'll be opening applications on November 1st, and those will run through till December 1st. So going full force into that. We just had a few updates that we made to from the application last time. So this next round should go a little bit smoother for parents. And I know we talked about last time how we want to set out more communication for our parents. So we've been working on a flyer. And so that's actually, I'm going to share my screen. And Clifton, I guess you'll have to give us some feedback on what you think. Let me go over here. And so far, this is what we put together. And I'm trying to make it as straightforward as possible so that when you guys do pass this along, it's easy to understand what this program is. So if you have any suggestions on what to add or change, just let me know. But I'm going to start off with, so what is the ESA program? The Education Savings Account is a reimbursement program for parents of a child with a disability under the Individuals with Disability Education Act. The purpose of this program is to provide flexibility for parents in their child's education in a non-public school environment. So I made sure to add in this non-public school environment in there because I think there's been a lot of confusion with parents understanding that they are moving their child into a homeschool environment. So if there's any suggestions or thoughts on that, just let me know if you want to add anything. So how do families apply? Applications for the ESA program will be available to families twice a year. The next application period will reopen from November 1st to December 1st, 2024, with the application link accessible on the ESA website beginning November 1st. copies of a child's disability qualification documents, evaluation report, IEP, or private place service plan, and proof of address will need to be included with the completed application. Please note that that students with 504 plans do not qualify for this program. So that is also something that I wanted to add in there because I have received a lot of questions about if 504s do qualify a student for this program. So I wanted to make sure and put this on there to make it clear for parents. And so who is eligible? Students, and this is basically what I pulled from our OPI ESA website. I'm trying to work on making this a little bit more clear and outlined better. So bear with me on this part. But so students must be identified as having special needs under the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act definition of a child with disabilities. A qualified student means a resident of the state who meets the following criteria. Is identified as a child with a disability under IDA, is between the ages of 5 and 19 on September 10th, is not currently enrolled in a school operating for the purpose of providing educational services to youth in Department of Corrections, commitment programs, or in the Montana School for Deaf and Blind, and was enrolled in a public school during the previous school year. And so this section here, I may work on a little bit because I know the prior school year was causing a little bit of confusion for parents as well. So I may update this throughout the year, like twice a year, with the new enrollment dates, because for November applications, it'll be the 23-24 year. But when we move into the June 2025 applications, it's going to refer to the 24-25 school year. So then was also counted during the previous year for purposes of school district A and B. And then I also added or is eligible to enter kindergarten pursuant to 20-7-117 MCA or is a new to Montana resident. So I tried to make that as straightforward as I could, but like I said, I'm still kind of working on this part a little bit. And then how do reimbursements work? Upon receipt of a signed contract with OPI, families will submit reimbursement receipts to OPI for allowable expenses utilizing an electronic management system. Reimbursement requests will need to be submitted to OPI by the 25th of each month for processing after the 10th of the following month. And I want to be clear on this too, because I've had a lot of parents ask me where their reimbursements are, but it does say on our ESA website that they'll be coming after the 10th of the following month. So
did you see John Gordon's comment, Whitney?
Nope.
He said, I wonder if A and B needs to be defined.
I think so too, actually. That's a great point.
Cheryl Tuscan also commented and said, you may consider stating they may use the funds toward private school or toward a private tutor. The concept of homeschooling can be scary to some parents, which is very true.
I agree. Yes. I'm going to jot some notes over here. So let me see.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, great comments there.
Yeah, I can agree. I'm sorry if my audio is bad. I'm farming right now, but I agree with Cheryl. Being on the parent end of this, there was many times where I could sense that the administrator and the SPED teacher was trying to express to us, well, there could be other options, like because we were hitting certain roadblocks and stuff that was available to us. But they never had anything to present to us, and that's why we discussed before in the prior meetings about having something to have available to present these options. And I think that a list of options probably would help, just so you don't get the automatic idea like, oh, I'm on this on my own. No, there's a lot of private schools, right, tutors, things that are available that it's just not just you doing the education for your child because public school, you don't see it as an option. There are a ton of options, a ton of stuff available.
No, and I agree with that 100% because I actually have had a lot of vendors reaching out to me about, but currently we don't have that vendor list out there for them to apply for or anything like that. But I do agree that having a list or something out there to show, what these parents can refer to would be a great idea. So I'll have to bring that up with Christy and discuss what we can do to add that on here.
Maybe we could do a generic kind of list, so not referring people to specific vendors, but
Right.
just like generally like tutors, private school. I know that's very broad, but maybe we could start off with that at least, and not have to worry about the individual vendors.
And I think
I
that's
like
great
that.
for like a one page, like what we're doing.
Okay. Perfect. So I will work on getting that included too. Thank you for pointing that out.
And this is Cheryl. I have a couple other thoughts because I have talked with some parents and about the concept that you have to you are pulling your child out of public school, therefore you have no more access to any services through the public school. And I know that under IDEA, they have to, like, the public schools are required to do the testing for the IEPs and those sorts of things, and to provide those sorts of things. So I don't know if maybe there's a layer of, is there still a safety net there, or are you completely removing any kind of safety net with the public schools as far as that is concerned in those services? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Mm-hmm.
Where they're like, well, I need those services. I need those, the occupational therapy. I need the testing done. I need the IEP. I know that by law, by federal law, the public schools are required to do that testing. So I wonder if maybe we could put a little padding there just to say you're not all completely in the middle of the wide open ocean on your own doing this, and say you can use these funds toward private schools or a private tutor that specializes, and then occupational therapy and whatnot.
Cheryl, can I just for clarification there?
Mm-hmm.
School districts have an obligation under the child fine rules and regulations that if they suspect a child with a disability, they have to, by law, follow through on that. It's not, and what that is part of the eligibility determination process. It's not for IEP development, just to clarify that.
Thank you.
And so if a parent of a homeschool child, private school, what have you, comes to a school district to provide requesting assessments occur because they suspect their child who was previously not identified as possibly being identified, then a school is obligated to follow through with that.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to try to clarify that with you. And then the part with the like the related service providers for OT, PT, and speech, those are typically the three big ones. The offering of FAPE is required by the school district, which would be notifying the parent that the services may not look the same as if they were enrolled in public school, right? And then, but there is a potential of creating a service plan that would address those unique areas but they would have to be eligible for those services as well.
Thank you. I appreciate you clarifying. That really helps.
Yes. Thank you, John. Then I'll move on to the things to know. And I think this is important. but if a student is qualified for the ESA program, they would not be enrolled in a Montana public school during the 24-25 school year. And if you guys have more to put here, but I really wanted to put this here because I think, again, there may have been some confusion with parents this year during these applications that, that if they decide to go with the ESA program, then they are choosing to pull, or not have their student enrolled in the upcoming school year. So I just really wanted to put that out there. But if you guys have more suggestions on important things to know about this program that would be good to put there, just let me know.
I think that's important. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I think we need to massage that language a little bit. But I agree that that's an important line. But instead of saying I know what you're saying for qualified, but I would say they were enrolled, because you could be qualified for the ESA program, but not technically go through with the enrollment into the program, right? There's something there that's like,
yep.
I'm not exactly sure how I want it or what I would want it to say, but there's something there that I think it needs a tweak.
No, I think that's here. I'm gonna go ahead and do that right now. Maybe.
You could even say something like has signed the contract.
I thought of for a student to be enrolled in the ESA program, they would not be enrolled in the Montana public school during the current school year, instead of having to remember to change the 24-25 next year.
That's a good point too. See, this is a good. So if a student is enrolled, or should I? Well, what about upcoming too? If we do,
you could say during the school year in which you were enrolled in the ESA or something like that.
Okay. Perfect. Every time I edit this document, this likes to jump up on me there. Like, oh.
So I was thinking under things to know, I think it would be helpful to say, since you're letting them know clearly that they're not going to be enrolled in public school anymore, but they can use those funds to participate in a private school, private tutoring, homeschooling on their own, online program, just to clarify that that's not like you're taking this money to homeschool.
Right.
Because there are many ways to use the funds for qualified expenses.
I know this is going to be like a paper flyer, but I wonder if I could also link, just in case people send it out, a PDF document, also the list of allowable items somehow on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. And I was going to edit it and put it on there, but it was giving me issues. So I will throw that on there after we get off here, but that is a great point. Okay, perfect. Does anyone else have suggestions for what to put there? Anything important? Oh,
let's see.
Like, I can scroll back up.
Yeah, I think the only thing I would really, I think adding, I've received documents that I know were generated 15 years ago because they float around in the school. And I think trying to future-proof the document will be very helpful unless the legislation changes. I think that always helps. I know it's nice to have exact dates in there, but if it's going to be generic from May 1st to June 1st and November 1st to of each year.
Mhm.
I just say that I think that the document will be more helpful if it is more future proof, because stuff, even if it's 2 or 3 years, stuff will float around in the school because it only got sent once and someone championed the cause that wanted to push along the paperwork, and it existed for that reason, and then someone else the following year didn't follow up with that. I think future proof in the document would be very helpful.
No, I agree. So basically taking out the 2024, like any year date. I definitely agree with that.
I think any year dates and
'Cause
the specific person. I know that OPI ESA at Montana.gov goes to a web address that gets sent out to multiple folks in case you miss it. I think that's extremely helpful. But having a specific person like there, I know I'd be skeptical looking at it. I wonder if that person's even there, if that's who I'm going to get.
right. That's a good point too. I'll work on updating that as well. And when I do have this update, because I'd like to get together and talk about it again before, finalizing everything. That kind of brings me to the last part of the meeting is how, like, because I was talking to Christy this morning, and it's how do we want to move forward with these parent steering committee meetings? Because this is kind of like the implementation of the ESA program, but since it's already been implemented, do we want to move forward just with communication meetings like once a month, or like I don't know how everyone feels about that. Or just keep it as is.
I think it'd be helpful to have at least one more meeting to go over the goals that we wish to accomplish, what the outcome of those goals were, and then to go back through and see just the overall view of how the committee did, and then see if there's if anyone else. There's a lot of folks that didn't join today, and maybe that's the reason that they do feel it's run its course. But I think when we first began looking back through the documents, we accomplished a lot, and to see what may have gotten possibly missed during that, or if anyone had anything they wanted to add to those. And I know it was just presented, but with the legislature coming up, I was not aware that they're going to revisit this, so that leaves me time to kind of think about stuff I'd like to add, because ad hoc, I'm not really sure.
That's perfect. I think that's a great idea. So maybe just for now, because I'll talk to Christy about it a little more. For now, I'll just leave the next one on the calendar, and I'll discuss with her tomorrow and see what we should do moving forward. But no, I think it'd be great to go over all the goals and everything. I mean, a lot has come out of this program, so I think it's great. And so that was the only other thing I had on the meeting agenda. So is there any questions from anybody before we log off? No. All right, well, I will work on updating this letter or this flyer for us, and I'll let you guys know when that's all complete. So I guess I will agenda this meeting.
Thank you, Whitney.
Yeah, you guys
Thanks, Whitney.
have a good rest of your evening.
You
Yep,
too.
you too. Thank you.
You
All right.
too. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.